Hangwani Maumela, who happens to be President Cyril Ramaphosa's nephew, now finds himself in deep trouble as SIU agents storm his Sandton mansion in an audacious raid to seize luxury cars, art, furniture, and with them, the remnants of a corruption empire tied to the Tembisa Hospital scandal. Please bring the video up.
I've seen him in booking. What is the problem? So I don't know what's the problem. You speak to me like that. No, the cancellation was I've seen him in booking. What is the problem? So I don't know what's the problem. You speak to me like that. No, the cancellation was
In the darkest hours of accountability, when power and greed collide, Hangwani Maumela, the so-called tender kingpin tied to Tembisa Hospital, stands at the center of an unfolding storm, and today the Special Investigating Unit descends on his Sandton fortress. If you've never heard of Maumela or the Tembisa Hospital scandal, let me bring you into the heart of a corruption saga that has shaken South Africa's faith in its institutions. In recent weeks, law enforcement has moved to seize properties, luxury cars, art, and other assets linked to him. This is not just about money. It's about justice, public health, and whether any citizen is safe from the reach of elite impunity. What follows is the story of how public funds meant for healing were hijacked, how whistleblowers paid with their lives, and how a nation waits for justice, not just headlines. We begin from the inside out. Several years ago, Tembisa Hospital, a Gauteng public health institution, became the battleground for a predatory procurement network. Whistleblower Babita Deokaran, a financial officer in the Gauteng Health Department, exposed irregularities in contracts and procurement payments tied to that hospital. Her disclosures implicated several companies and individuals. Tragically, in August 2021, Deokaran was assassinated outside her home, ambushed as she parked her car after dropping her child at school. Her killing sent shockwaves through South Africa. She had been a key witness in uncovering alleged thefts of hundreds of millions in health tenders. Over time, investigators began to unpick a vast web. At Tembisa Hospital, public funds were channeled through questionable companies with close ties to politically connected actors. Among those named in reports was Hangwani Maumela, who reportedly scored contracts to the tune of hundreds of millions of rand. By mid-2025, the SIU, Special Investigating Unit, had produced an interim report exposing syndicates responsible for over R2 billion in irregular tenders linked to Tembisa Hospital. Then came action. The Asset Forfeiture Unit earlier seized roughly R400 million in assets, including luxury homes, high-end vehicles, a boat, belonging to Maumela and associates. Now, in a dramatic escalation, SIU officials are raiding Maumela's Sandton residence this very morning, expected to confiscate even more art, furniture, vehicles, whatever remains in his grip. What exactly is happening right now at Maumela's Sandton home? The SIU's raid is part of a broader push to attach and freeze ill-gotten assets as part of the Tembisa Hospital investigation. Inside, law enforcement is moving through corridors lined with lavish paintings and designer furnishings. They are locating high-value vehicles, Lamborghinis, reportedly 3 identical blue ones, Bentleys, possibly Rolls-Royces, and preparing to detach registration documents, impound or tow them. The seizure isn't cosmetic. It is meant to enforce recommendations from the SIU's interim report and to translate paper trails into physical accountability. But who is Hangwani Maumela? In public reports, he has been described as a businessman deeply implicated in these procurement networks, one of the beneficiaries of Tembisa's contracting schemes. Media reports also note Maumela is a nephew of President Cyril Ramaphosa from a previous marriage. That familial link has sparked further scrutiny and debate over whether political shielding played a role in delaying accountability. In the corruption syndicate's architecture are allies such as Vazumuzi Kat, Matlala, and Rudolph Mazabuko, who also appear in SIU documents as co-beneficiaries of contracts at Tembisa Hospital. Matlala's name, already infamous in procurement and security contracting, surfaces repeatedly in the saga. He directed companies that benefited from hospital supply deals and other government contracts. As the siege at Sandton continues, think, a man accused of draining public health budgets, now facing the hollowing out of his own material empire. What message does that send to those who believe themselves untouchable? Why does this matter beyond the sensational images of Lamborghinis on tow trucks? Because healthcare is at stake. Every rand diverted from hospitals like Tembisa is a nurse not paid, a medicine not stocked, a patient untreated. For communities already fighting disease and poverty, corruption is a death sentence. Recall the whistleblower whose courage cost her life, Babita Deokaran. Her murder underscored that this battle is not merely fiscal, it's existential. States fail when whistleblowers are silenced. Public reaction has been visceral. On social media, users mocked the spectacle of 3 identical blue Lamborghinis, memes circulating faster than news wires. But outrage is not just humor. The DA, Democratic Alliance, has pressed the NPA to move faster, to deliver arrests, charges, and prosecutions, not just asset seizures. Critics caution that this could turn into another show raid great for optics, weak on accountability. Civil society groups say the focus must shift from flashy seizures to breaking prosecutorial bottlenecks. Could you see this coming? Perhaps those tracking the Deokaran revelations glimpsed it. This was always heading toward a reckoning, though delayed. What would you do if your hospital had funds siphoned away, leaving your child without care? That's what corruption does. It steals futures, not just wealth. Now, let's lay out what led us here. Over years, complex procurement schemes masked by layers of shell companies and front orders hid the flow of money. Tenders were inflated, duplicates awarded, and essential services contracted to undercapable firms that delivered little or nothing. Those schemes were enabled by weak oversight, captured audit processes, and compliance systems too timid or compromised to intervene. Then Deokaran's exposure triggered a domino effect: internal audits, court applications, leaks, media scrutiny. In recent months, assets were quietly frozen, investigations advanced, legal teams gathered evidence. The state, perhaps under mounting pressure, authorized more forceful moves. But the consequences go both ways. If the state fails to prosecute, if the NPA dithers, if courts delay, all this spectacle risks devolving into another moment of public cynicism. If the legal system holds firm, this could mark a turning point, a demonstration that no corridor of power is beyond accountability. For ordinary South Africans, this moment invites reflection. Are your resources safe from invisible theft? Does democracy protect you, or do predators hide behind it? Journalists, activists, whistleblowers, all will watch closely. The institutions built to enforce justice are under test. And so, in the coming weeks, many eyes will turn to the NPA. Will it indict Maumela? Will it bring conspirators to trial? Will it expose the masterminds behind Deokaran's murder? I will be watching too, and you should be. Because this is the story of whether a society enshrines impunity or demands integrity. Do you think justice was truly served if only assets are seized and no one goes to jail? Before we close, this story is not over. Its next chapters hinge on courts, prosecutors, and public pressure. If you found this account valuable, please like this video. Help shine a spotlight so more people know. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Was this raid overdue or just symbolic? Will real justice follow? Subscribe for more real stories that matter, because if citizens don't tell the stories, no one will.